So I will not be dishonest with you. Let me tell you that this is a difficult topic, and you have been an amazing batch of students, and you have grasped a lot. And that is why I'm trying to go slow, and also I'm trying to repeat the slides so that you can remember it. So you don't have to go, if you remember it, review it just now, it would probably just be there. So you know what is a worm, you know how we get it. It is by open air defecation or by salads or fruit or food which is infected. You know about fecal-oral transmission. You know that there are certain worms which are passed by ingesting the eggs or the cyst. So as I was telling, nematode, cestode, and then there is trematodes. Okay. And then there are certain protozoa. So some of you have answered euglena, paramecium, which is absolutely fine. But as diseases, mostly we are concerned with these right now, or we have only learned about this. That also may be the thing. Maybe Gargi, when she will become a researcher and a scientist, she will discover more protozoa, which is actually bothering all of us. Okay. Or maybe they are advantages to us. We also learned how worms get into your digestive system, where exactly it harms the small intestine, the duodenum, its proximity to the liver, right? And most of the worms' life cycle, and helminths are what we call most of the worms. We know about whipworm, which today I did not ask, so don't forget about it. Whipworm has got a very simple kind of a cycle. It goes in and it infects, and then it processes unembryonated eggs, and then it again multiplies. It goes, if we can take it in. It's a very, very simple kind of a thing. Looks like a whip, so we call it a whipworm. So you can see that this is the round I'm saying. It is like earthworm. So some of the worms, even if they're small or big, most of them are like this. So worms like this, okay, they are called as cystodes. Now this is pinworm. We have already read about that, and this is what Scotch tape test I was telling you about. That what we do is we put a tape, Scotch tape, and then on that the mummy comes and delivers her eggs. Then we check the tape and we find that, oh, it has got eggs. That is how to diagnose it. Okay. So you know that pinworms, usually they are scratching their butt. This is how they look, very yucky, small, but very, very yucky. Roundworms, which Gargi has answered correctly. That has also got, yeah. So this is adult male and female. Okay, they are big as earthworms usually. And they can be passed exactly like that. And this is the worm Gargi, which is one of the commonest thing which causes actually lung inflammation, because its larvae, it travels up to the lungs and then goes to the trachea, and then it enters into esophagus. So that whole thing, many of them are doing that, but this one specifically does produce all this, and we find it a little more commonly. Okay. Then we came about that how some of the worms can be infected just if we step in to water barefoot. The barefoot is the most important word here, because we don't have protection. So we put our feet inside and we can get infected. And in Filaria's case, what we found was that there can be actually a mosquito which is biting, and then it goes and collects into the lymphatic system. Here this is about hookworm, and hookworm also enters its larvae and it goes in and it takes this whole path. It goes right into the heart and lungs and swallowed back, and then comes and gets attached on the small intestine, and it is one of the commonest cause for iron deficiency anemia. Okay, and you can see its teeth. I always like, and I told you there can be other animals, hookworms, which could be getting in, and they could be traveling just beneath our skin. If you are interested, you could actually go and see it in the YouTube videos. You might find some larva migrants actually migrating. Okay. Then we have this Turkuralis. This is the threadworm. And then we have the blood fluke, and the blood fluke, this is the intermediate host. And this is a very high resolution picture. Okay, otherwise if you just even with a simple microscope, you look into it, it looks like a leaf kind of a thing. So the fluke basically means that it's a flat, that kind of a structure. Okay, so it needs snail, and when we have filaria, and filaria goes into the lymph, and then it can actually block it, and it can create a situation like this, which is called as elephantiasis. So now, so this is how it is. All the roundworms. Here round means all those worms that we have known, which is roundworm, pinworm, hookworm, strongyloids, which has a shape like that. Okay, the snake kind of a shape, the earthworm kind of a shape. They are called as nematodes. Okay, the leaf like we call them as trematodes, and the flat ones we call them as cystodes. The flat one is what we are going to learn today. Okay, so all set, all revised, and all of you are ready to listen to this new one, right?
I was studying that.
Yes. So why is tapeworm called a tapeworm? Anybody?
Because it looks like a tape.
In what way?
In a flat structure. I think it is even like almost like invisible and looks like tape, but is a worm.
What is a tape? It is flat, agreed. Okay. It is long. It can be as long as your height, or even much longer than that. And
it can stick.
Can stick. It can stick in the sense
Like tapes stick, right?
Okay, it can stick. Yeah, so it basically its mouth is there where it hangs on to the intestine. Okay, we will see the structure. And one more thing, like tape, it has got sections. What you have got in the tape, you have got like measures, right?
Yes, like lines. I had that picture in my mind lot back.
Exactly. I knew that you had it. That is why I was hoping that you are going to answer this question. That's why I kept on giving clues. So it has got a tape-like thing. It gets, so some, if by chance you get a tapeworm, you could actually put it up. It will stick on something, and then you can measure your height with it, right? Or maybe
That's
not.
why it's called a tapeworm, because it is almost like a tape.
Very good. So where do tapeworms come from?
Are we even sharing this?
What happened?
Are we even sharing this with the other animals?
We are sharing this with other animals. Yeah. And these animals seem to be pretty big ones. Which are the animals you can see in the slide?
Pig and cow.
Pig and cow. Yeah. So we can get tapeworm from pig or cow. So how do you think that cow or cattle? Okay. So how do you think that we will get if something is being suffered by pig or cattle, how would we get it?
Ma'am, if we are domesticating it, the person who's looking after that, if the animal is infected, it can pass to the person.
Okay.
Meat.
Any other meat? Very good. So if pig meat or cattle meat is being eaten, that is one way of getting tapeworms into your body. Now, how do these pigs or cattle get the tapeworm in the first place? The pigs and cattle, they actually, by mistake, as we ingest, they ingest the eggs or proglottids. So I will come to what is a proglottid later on, but these things they ingest, whether it could be in the food or it could be in the water that they are having. And once they ingest, what happens actually is that they take it in, it goes to their intestines, but then these larvae, they go and settle down in the muscles of these animals. You understand what I'm trying to tell you? It has got a proneness to go and settle down in the muscles of the animals. And when we are eating the meat, we are basically having the meat, means we will be having the muscles, right? If by chance this meat is infested with these the larvae of this worm, then we would be actually ingesting it, and that could get into our system. Once that gets into our system, we will ingest it, and that will go get into our intestine. And in the intestine, the what Tarun was telling, that it attaches. It has got a scolex. Okay, this is the upper part of its body, and it goes and it attaches. So that attaches, and there can be, it can grow into adults. Now you can see this tape-like structure, right? So this tape-like structure, that is how it keeps on growing. How it keeps on growing, I said proglottid, right? So each section is a proglottid. Okay. And what is interesting is that each section is actually enough to infect any other person who will take it. So we have, what did I say? I said that one tapeworm can be as long as you are. So how many sections can it have? And when a person is actually having one adult tapeworm in the intestine, he will not pass the whole tapeworm. He will shed the proglottids. Okay, so this tape-like structure, one by one or more, it will just shed. It will just get detached and it will shed. It will get detached, it will shed. But the worm would be still there. So the adult worm is not coming out. It can still have more proglottids as it stays there. And it will go on shedding this. And it can go on infecting whatever is coming in contact with it. You get that? Understanding? Very good. So this is what our beautiful tapeworm is. Okay. So this is what it attaches with. Okay. And this whole thing is called as scolex. This is where it attaches. These are its hooks, and it will attach with that hook, and it will suck whatever nutrients it has to suck. It has got a neck, and these are the immature proglottid. So in this, when in the proximity to its head, there will be smaller proglottids. They are not mature ones. As it goes to the tail end, it will be bigger and ready to infect others. Okay. Apart from that, they will also mate, and they will also have eggs, and that also can infect. Okay. Now there is a quick question, and this one is to either NOP Shaju or Tarun. So do you think that you need to be a non-vegetarian to get infected by the tapeworm?
I think so. If we are eating a lot of meat, there is a probability for getting the tapeworm.
There is a probability. Yeah, there is definitely a probability, because we have no clue whether they are infected or not. And we can eat meat, and their muscles could have this worm, and we could be eating it, and it would be very happily going and resting into our intestines. That is very much likely. My question is, the person who is a vegetarian, is he safe from tapeworm infestation?
This tapeworms need intermediate host, right, to do. Otherwise, it can't. Its eggs or proglottid can't directly get inside the human body. Then will it work? If it directly goes without going into the intermediate host, it can't, right?
Anybody else having any? I'm not going to accept or or reject that. Anybody else has got?
Can it spread through milk, like cow's milk or something?
Cannot spread through milks. No, that is not possible. Nobody else? Atmika, Manomi, Rebecca, Jyotika, say something. Anything is all right. This is definitely not something that you're supposed to be knowing. So, all guesswork is welcome. And this is very important in the sense that, the country that we live in, there is a huge, what are do Muslims eat? Which animal do Muslims not eat?
Pig.
Which animal does Hindus don't eat?
Cows.
Cow.
Yeah, cow, right? So now, and so many other people are vegetarians. So many others have turned into vegetarians. So can vegetarians claim, or can it be a safe point where they could say that they wouldn't be suffering from tapeworm infection? That is the question, and it is an important question, because if it happens, then how? And if it doesn't happen, then great. At least one worm you can be away from if you are a vegetarian, right? So the answer to that question is you can get infected. Okay. So how do you get infected? Tarun is very right in noticing one important fact, that you need an intermediate host, right? So basically, these adult worms are there in the human intestine, and they pass it, and that goes into the pigs or the cattle, and they then develop that larvae, and then they pass it on, and then we get it, right? That is how we are getting it. But if we also take that infected water or food, then we will also have the capacity to infect ourselves. But the whole process will be a little bit different. Okay. So usually what happens, we are eating the meat, and we are eating the meat. It is, this one is having the cysticercae. It is called cysticercae, that larvae kind of a thing, which is there encysted in that. So we eat that meat, and it will be going into our intestine, and there it will be released, and it will slowly develop into the adult worm. The adult worm will be sitting there. It will pass eggs and proglottids. It will be passed. The pig or the cattle will eat it, and then they will again have this thing. That is how the usual cycle is. But sometimes what we see, we come here, we, like the pigs or the cattle, we also ingest the eggs. Okay. And now these eggs, they will be going into the intestine, but they are eggs, right? And they would be actually getting into getting into cysticercus, and they will be entering into your bloodstream and going into different places. Is that clear? And when I say different places, I actually mean different places. Okay. So they are very prone to get into muscles, but they can also go into any other place. Okay. And so they could be actually going into any muscle. When we say muscles, we mean any organ, right? There can be smooth muscles, there can be cardiac muscle, they can get into the liver and sit there, they can get into the brain. All right. So what is getting into the brain? Now here we are not having the adult worm, we are having something called as cysticercus, this small thing. Okay. Is that clear, or is it difficult to understand? I don't understand what you're saying, Atmika. This is one thing, no? We Indians, both yes and no is shaking our head. So you have to tell me, you understood or did not understand?
Yes, I understand.
Very good. So if we are eating the meat of an animal which is having the infestation with tapeworm, we can have adult tapeworms in our intestines, and they could themselves be a problem because they are there and they are long, they are big, they are sitting there, we are shedding the proglottids, they are not actually dying anywhere, they are sitting there only. That is a problem, right? But if we are taking the eggs, then we can have cysticercus, and it could go into any of the organs of our body. And this also means whether or not we are vegetarians or not vegetarians, we could still get infected with this wonderful worm. And the only way to stay safe is, there are two ways to stay safe. Now we have to take care, number one, that we do not have impure or dirty water or food. Okay. Number two, the meat that is being eaten, it has to be very, very properly cooked. Very properly cooked can destroy this. Okay. But it has to be actually very properly. Something which is a little bit half cooked or little cooked will not destroy it. But it can come through through all the other routes that we have already discussed. Is that clear? Okay. So that is what we are saying. You can still get infected with Taenia solium. So we have got Taenia solium and Taenia saginata. Solium is what is there in the pork, and saginata is what is there in the cattle. And this is what is neurocysticercosis. So neurocysticercosis is something that, as I said, the egg you have ingested somehow, okay, through food or water, and it has gone to your intestine, then it has traversed through your blood, and it has gone and settled in organs. And this is the place where you can see. Can you see these places? These are all neurocysticercosis. Now, as Tarun was telling, what happens when something like this is coming? Don't our immune system act against it? So this is where our immune system is actually acting against it. Our immune system says, this is not okay. This is not all right. This is not something which should be there. And it tries to guard it off. Okay. And when it is trying to guard it off, it also calcifies it. No, not okay. This is a worm and not supposed to be there. But unfortunately, this is a very important area in our brain, right? And if it is an important area in the brain, it can manifest in different ways. It can manifest as convulsions, as speech problems, as memory loss, as stroke. Okay, so there can be different kinds of problems, but all that it led to this was somehow ingesting the worms of the tapeworms. Get it? So I don't know whether you have had your dinner yet, but this is going to be difficult, and I don't mind, because if you find it graphic and don't want to watch it, it's all right. But here is where Gargi's very favorite worm, which is which one? Or let us say the worm that Gargi mentioned today. It's not her favorite. It's roundworm. Okay. So this roundworm, as I said, when it is actually traveling, okay, and then it grows, and then it is climbing into your from the trachea to the esophagus, and then it travels happily into different places. It can also go to different organs, and we have found it in the most unpredictable places. And actually there have been cases where some people have come with lip swelling, just a simple lip swelling, and you would wonder what the hell is going on, and it could be the roundworm. So this is a little graphic. Anyone who wants to not watch it, it's okay not to watch it, but this is something which will stay with you forever and ever. Once you watch it, I don't think you can ever forget it. So this person, he had come with a complaint of continuous watering and itching and irritation in his eyes. Okay. So, watering, itching, irritation, they are common problems. We think there could be some allergy, there could be some conjunctivitis, who knows, something could be there, or some foreign body might have come in. So you don't know, but then you look inside and you find, no, something else. What you are seeing actually is a worm, which is right just inside the eyes. Okay. And now it has to be removed. because this worm, this poor little worm has actually strayed into your eyes. And it is long. As I said, it is as long, it can be as long as your earthworm. We are actually hurting that part of the eye, but we want to somehow take hold of it and remove it. And well, that's relief. This is all the size. That's all. Very small one. Okay. So this is how these wonderful worms, they have this, they are like little children running over all around. They can go here and there. We think that we know where all they will go, and we think that we can catch hold of them in the intestine itself. But by that time, they might have already gone somewhere else. Okay. So everything is possible. So that more or less brings us to the end of all the worms. Okay. And I told you yesterday also, and today again I repeat, that this is important in many ways, because how we get this worm infection is very simple. Even though all of them are very unique, their life cycles are very unique, they travel in many different ways, but most of them you can avoid by doing 2-3 very easy steps. Number 1, wash your hands. Number 2, wash your fruits and vegetables. Number 3, have clean, purified, maybe boiled water. Number 5, or what was it, 4, right? Have properly cooked food, not to go bare feet. When you go to some kind of a village area or some unknown place, you have to be aware whether that is infested with snails, whether around that place you have these kind of cases which could be having elephantiasis. Okay, these are all endemic kind of diseases. Then you have to protect yourself against mosquito. Very simple public health tips. Nothing very great, no rocket science in this. You don't do this, you take care of these things, you don't get worms. And this is something which is important, whether you're going to become a doctor, a teacher, an engineer, going to have work in the waterworks, whatever you're doing. This, if either you are a provider or you are a consumer, or you might be just an educated citizen in near a rural populace. So where you need to be aware and also need to create this awareness so that people don't get infected, because these are not fun diseases. These can be very serious issues, and you need to be taking care that neither you nor anybody around you gets it. Because the less number of people have this, we already know that a lot of people carry it, right? Because then more and more chances are it is very small little eggs, and they can be always just sneak into your own water supply. Okay, so we want everybody, we can't be very selfish and say that only my water in my house should be clean. We need the whole community's water, food. We need clean habits, we need clean toilets, we need to have the habits of washing. So these are all very simple public health measures which need to be practiced to avoid such big kind of problems. So this is Dr. Christian Bernard. He's a heart transplant surgeon. And he says that he has saved the lives of 150 people by heart transplants, right? Which is a great achievement, 150 heart transplants. But if he had focused on preventive medicine earlier, he might have saved 150 million, right? Because the specialists are only treating the special cases, and the common people are suffering. The number of people who are suffering in the first phase is huge, okay? So this is not to be taken lightly at all. And this is Thomas Salvadison. All of you know him. And he says, and I also think, that the doctor of the future will give no medication, but will entrust his patients in the care of the human frame, diet, and in the cause and prevention of disease. We don't want anybody ill. We want all of you to remain sane, healthy, know about your body, be aware, and have healthy practices. So now it is question time. Anybody?
Ma'am, there should be public awareness programs now about this issue topic.
Yes. So in this regard, actually, you know that we have actually launched Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. Okay. The fact that many times such abhiyans become political stunts is actually sad, but the idea behind that abhiyan was fairly great. We, at a point of time, we had even criminalized open air defecation. That we had said that if anybody is practicing that outside, he could be actually jailed, fined. Okay, so we try to do that. The government at least claims to have provided toilets to every home. The thing is that in our country, government doesn't have to provide the toilets all the time. Even the people can have a toilet. So being in Kerala or being in some affluent country or coming from a good family, you wouldn't probably realize that how many families do not have, and especially in India, in the in those places where the poverty is there, so many people practice open air defecation. So maybe it is possible that they could somehow actually afford a toilet, and they would probably realize the importance of toilet if they knew that these are so many problems can be created. But there we are. We really don't have that much of public health education. So it is very difficult to say that if you are traveling in India, then you will not be coming across these worms. That is the present state. Getting a clean toilet, ensuring clean food, all that is still a big challenge to us. Anybody else? We have also got school health programs where we actually dispense the anti-worm medicine, albendazole, Zental, if you have heard. Okay, so there is one dose of Zental which is given, and that we just assume that it could be possible because living with this kind of water and food, it is very, very likely that you could be infested with worms. So it is like a preventive dose, or maybe a therapeutic dose, or maybe it would just take care that you don't go to that load of the worms where it will cause problems.
I have a question.
Yes.
That how does that medicine kill or affect these worms?
You are asking me a very good question. You are talking actually. I need to go back to that pharmacology lecture. I'm very sorry, but I know that I think I should not be bluffing at all. I will do one thing. I will write it down in our this website. Okay.
Okay.
Anything else? The medicines that we use, there are a few like albendazole, mebendazole. Then we use the same ones also for our cattle and pig. Like there is this piperazine, pyrantel. This we have been using it for like dogs or our pets. There is also ivermectin, which has been there for COVID, which is also very important for these worm infestations. So these are actually these are more or less common for all the worms. And yeah, I will get back to the answer of your question also, Parveen. Anybody else?
So I have one small question. Why is it that we always give this deworming to kids, children? Is there a difference in level of affecting these in adults and children?
No. Actually, it's a good idea for you also to take it every 2 years if you cannot ensure a good. I mean, I do take it every 2 years because we cannot actually ensure that kids, because we do not really, we are taking care of them, right? And they are always coming in. They themselves may not be taking care of the hand hygiene, food hygiene. They are moving in schools. They are going into common toilets. So, and we don't want them to develop iron deficiency, anemias, and such things which will directly affect their growth. So, those are the reasons. That's all. But I think adults also, it's a very good idea to take at least one dose of deworming every 2 years at least.